And hello everyone. In basketball, Marquette falls victim to March sadness once again.
Plus, a women's lacrosse player cements her name in program history once again. Thank you for joining us. This is Golden Eagle Sports Report, and it starts right now.
From the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down!
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gabriel Cicerica, joined by Brian Wilson. And Brian, it was a tough March for the Marquette men's and women's basketball teams.
Yes, it was, but we're here to tell all those watchers kind of what happened, and I'm excited because we have a jam-packed show for everybody.
Jam-packed indeed. Starting off with the men's basketball team as they traveled to Cleveland, Ohio to take on the 10th-seeded New Mexico Lobos in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
Marquette would get off to their usual slow start and find themselves down early to the Lobos.
But some clutch Ben Gold and Chase Ross threes brought the Golden Eagles back in the game. That was until New Mexico answered with a 5-0 run of their own.
Before the halftime buzzer, Marquette sneaks in a final push, making it a 3-point game. At the end of the frame, New Mexico led 35-32.
The Golden Eagles did not take off in the second half, and they had to swap leads with the Lobos multiple times thanks to senior forward David Joplin, who splashed in 3 after 3.
Things were looking good for Marquette until New Mexico locked in and then scored 10 unanswered points.
The momentum was gone, and the Golden Eagles have no answer.
New Mexico pulled off the upset, beating Marquette 75-66.
And following the game, David Joplin scores 28 points in the loss. He also became the program all-time leader in games played.
Senior guard Stevie Mitchell talks about the importance of the Marquette culture.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that, helped us grow just as people and as players. And I couldn't imagine my life without these guys. I can't imagine my life without Marquette. So that's why it feels like, it's hard because now we all got to go our separate ways. And it just hurts. So, yeah.
And senior guard Cam Jones also reflects on his time playing for the Golden Eagles.
You guys around me. These relationships I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. That's the worst part of it all. Now it's over. We obviously don't want this shit to end like this. That's the worst part. Looking at these guys. Realizing it's over.
As players, you guys all.
And on Thursday, Marquette women's basketball began their postseason campaign with a win over the Drake Bulldogs in the Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament.
Because of this victory, they continued their WBIT run against the James Madison Dukes on Sunday.
Despite a slow start from the Golden Eagles in Harrisburg, fourth-year guard Lee Volker splashes 2 quick threes to get her squad started.
Volker has been fantastic from 3 all year long, shooting an unconscious 41% from downtown on the season.
Meanwhile, first-team All-Big East forward Skylar Forbes powers her way inside for 2. She then quickly follows it up with a tough contested 3 to tie the Golden Eagles and the Dukes at 24 apiece.
As the third member of the Golden Eagles' Big Three, Haley Weiss finds a crack in the defense to pull Marquette ahead.
And just before the half, Volker beats the clock with this driving fade that finds the bottom of the net.
Second-year forward Skylar Forbes continued her fantastic day at the office as she is able to drive inside and make it rain from outside.
Marquette guards Hallie Weiss and Olivia Porter tack on more points on the offensive side of the ball as the Golden Eagles battle back against the Dukes.
Still, as the game slips into overtime, a waning three from third-year guard Jaden Mason is too little too late as the Golden Eagles fall in a 76-80 final.
And in women's lacrosse, they opened up Big East play this last Saturday in Indianapolis against the Butler Bulldogs.
The Golden Eagles start off strong as senior Meg Byerly scores the first goal of the game in the 176th of her career.
But Byerly does not stop there as she usually does, scoring 4 out of the Marquette's 9 first-half goals.
After leading 9-2 at halftime, senior midfielder Hannah Bodner leads the way for Marquette with an electric goal down the middle of the Butler defense.
And Marquette continues to dominate the game against the Bulldogs, scoring goal after goal in all different fashions.
Marquette finishes the game defeating Butler 16-5, starting off 1-0 in Big East play.
And Meg Byerly cemented herself in Marquette lacrosse history, breaking the program record for most all-time goals with 180.
On top of that goal record, Byerly also holds record for most points and shots taken.
Meanwhile, Hannah Bodner is also on a roll this season. She's now recorded her 4th hat trick of the year.
The Golden Eagles also hosted Arizona State Sun Devils earlier this afternoon at Valley Fields.
The Golden Eagles come out the gates with energy, with junior attacker Izzy Kasuchi scoring the first goal off an assist from senior Hannah Bodner.
But Bodner can do a lot more than pass. The senior attacker records a hat trick by herself in the first half, this goal down the middle of the field.
And the Golden Eagles take the lead in the second half as junior attacker Tess Osborne splits the defense and hits the goal.
But Hannah Bodner continues to steal the show for Marquette as she records her career high in goals and points.
And as the game is winding down, senior attacker Meg Byerly threads the needle and ties the game 16-16, sending the match into overtime.
Marquette proceeds to win in the overtime thriller against Arizona State 18-17 after Hannah Bodner wins with a goal. Bodner ended the game with a career-high 8 goals, has 1 assist to go with it. And with the win, Marquette finds themselves on a 3-game win streak and looking forward to their game against Xavier.
Hello everyone, and now joining me on the show is Marquette Wire Sports Director Matt Baltz. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here. No better place to be.
Absolutely, no better place to be. And on Friday, Matt, the Golden Eagles suffered a season-ending NCAA tournament loss. Can you tell me a little bit about what went wrong in that game?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been telling people it's been like the quintessential Marquette game this year, right? Got off to a slow start, trailed as much by 8 in the early goings. They fought back, they kept going, and ultimately were able to come up short at the end, right? They gave up a 10-0 run down the stretch late. That was huge. They missed shots in that stretch, didn't grab rebounds. It was tough for them. Also, Marquette shot 7 for 12 from the free throw line. That was an area that, plagued them all season, it felt like. They shot 36% from deep, which is right on average, but as everyone knows, average this time of year is not going to be good enough to win you 4, 5, 6 games in a row. So ultimately, it was just kind of the same stuff that's plagued Marquette all year, and that 10-0 run down the stretch from the Lobos, that's what killed them. So, props to New Mexico, and Marquette goes home early, a lot earlier than people thought, but that's the way March goes, man.
Absolutely, man. And it just feels like for Marquette fans, this seems to be a thing over and over again. These early tournament losses are really starting to add up. But considering this loss and the fact that Marquette is losing 3 of their best players in seniors Cam Jones, Stevie Mitchell, and David Joplin, is this the year we finally see Shaka Smart go to the transfer portal?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to answer it right now, I think yes, and let me explain why. So Marquette lost 3 NBA players in the past 3 years, right? So that's a lot as it is. And now you lose 3 pillars of your program that, it's been the 4 straight NCAA tournaments in the past 4 years. Cam Jones, Stevie Mitchell, David Joplin, those are names that people are going to be saying for a long time around these parts, especially Cam Jones, finishes as the all-time second leading scorer in this program. So, yeah, there's 3 huge losses, and I think the theme of it all right now for Marquette is inconsistency and unexperience. And there's a lot of inexperience in that younger group, whether you talk about the sophomore class and the first years. So we'll see. For my money, yes, I think they look for, maybe a veteran guard, whether that's, a 3-and-D type of guy, a 3-and-D type of forward, also a big, excuse me, that, can block shots, rebound. They've gotten out-rebounded a lot in the past couple of years. So we'll see what they end up doing, but for my money, yes, I think this is the year that they finally do it.
Marquette fans haven't seen Shaka Smart get a high major Division I transfer since he came to Marquette, and now with NIL, the whole landscape has changed. So Marquette fans will see what Shaka Smart's going to do. But next fall seems like a lifetime away. Where are the expectations at for the men's basketball team?
Right, I wish I could give you an answer right now. Obviously, I can't, but it's easy to think that Marquette's got a lot of inexperience, right? Lots of it. So he had 3 sophomores this year. Coach Smart did, and Trey Norman, Caden Hamilton, Al Amadou. That it didn't feel like he could play kind of late down the stretch in games. Al Amadou obviously redshirted as a sophomore, which is pretty rare in today's college basketball. If you're not playing much as a freshman, a lot of guys transfer.
Yeah.
But that's culture at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. The bench showed a lot of promise at times. Zay Lowry, he's a guy people have raved about at times. He had that career high 25 at Villanova. That was a big time game for him. Showed what he can do, maybe going towards the future. The first year forwards, Demarius and Royce, they showed a lot of promise. A lot of people are really high on Demarius, think he could be an NBA type of Omax Prosper type of guy going forward. So we'll see. There are promise on the bench. I think it's a crucial offseason in terms of growth. Relationships, growth, victory. Those are the 3 pillars of Marquette basketball, right? What they pride themselves on. So, you're going to have to see a lot of growth this year if they want to continue to compete for the Big East, continue to make runs in March. So we'll see. I think, grabbing a guy in the portal like we just talked about would obviously help lighten the load of some of the younger guys on their shoulders. Obviously Sean Jones is coming back. He's coming off torn ACL, so, you can never really know what to expect there. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting offseason, but it's an important offseason for them for sure, just because of what they've lost and, what lies ahead for them.
Absolutely, Matt. Times are definitely changing within this program, and we will see what happens next season. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have, but thank you so much for your time, Matt. And coming up, does the men's lacrosse team win streak continue? Plus, what do Marquette students think about the March Madness tournament so far? Don't go anywhere, as we'll be right back shortly after the break.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends. Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
And welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report. Once again, I'm Gabriel Cisrica.
And I'm Brian Wilson.
The men's lacrosse team looks to soar over the Air Force and get their 3rd straight win on the road. After a stagnant beginning of the quarter, Air Force takes an immediate 3-0 lead with 1.5 minutes left to go on the clock. But senior midfielder Will Foster finds the back of the net, cutting the deficit to 2 before the second quarter. And coming out the gate, senior attacker Bobby O'Grady scores his first goal, keeping the momentum on the Marquette side. The Golden Eagles continue to dominate the scoreboard as junior attacker Matt Caputo and senior attacker Nolan Rappis cap off 2 more goals, finishing the 4-0 run of the quarter. But Air Force turns on the Jets in the third, and they go on a run of their own. With only 4 minutes left in the third, Marquette finds themselves down 7-4. Marquette hits the ground running in the fourth, scoring goal after goal. And the Golden Eagles close out the game with a 5-1 run, winning the game 9-8 with junior midfielder Jake Blair posting his first goal of the season.
College students obviously love college basketball, so we went on Marquette's campus to ask all the students about March Madness. Adrian Fraga brings us more.
College basketball and March go hand in hand, so we went around campus to ask students all about the madness.
Yeah, so for this year, I either expected us to make it to the second round, to play Michigan State, and to see what can happen with that. I was like, okay, my freshman year, we lost in the first round. Sophomore year, we lost in the second. Last year, we lost in the Sweet 16. So maybe the ceiling, maybe we can make the Elite Eight. But now we lost in the first round. I was like, man.
I was hoping that we'd make it at least to the Sweet 16.
I had second round hopes. Michigan State's a tough opponent, so kind of figured if we at least don't embarrass ourselves in the first round, that would be kind of nice. But that didn't happen.
I knew that Dent guy that was on New Mexico was going to give us problems, but all in all, I did think that we were going to pull it out. I thought we had the upper hand, had bigger bodies, but obviously things happened. We lost.
So I'm like, we can maybe, if we can stay hot and then we can continue to play good defense, that we could win. But then New Mexico kind of started to figure us out on defense, and then on offense we kind of ran out of gas.
Group chat back home was firing shots at me the entire time. They were talking so much trash because I talked a lot leading up to the game.
Creighton really busted my bracket. I thought Louisville was going to go far, and they lost in the first round. And also Arkansas busted my bracket because I had St. John's in the championship. Because I'm like, they're really good against Marquette. Maybe this is the team. And then they lost in the second round.
I had UConn going to the Final Four. Not the greatest decision, but they ruined it. And then St. John's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they screwed me over.
McNeese, but yeah, that was my first. I'm still 94%, but McNeese, I ain't call that. But go Florida.
Yeah.
Go Florida.
I don't want to sound like that typical guy that says Duke or another number 1 seed. But there's something about Duke that one of my friends said it perfectly. It said, this is an NBA team against a college basketball team. Like, Duke does look like that team, which is terrifying because I hate Duke. But, if they're good, they're good. So.
Actually, my women's bracket is still perfect. UConn Huskies, Paige Beckers, let's go.
With the Sweet 16 set to take place this weekend, it's only safe to assume that the madness will continue. I'm Adrian Fraga, Marquette Wire Sports.
And now everyone's favorite segment, the Golden Eagle Sports Report Weekly Awards. Our team award goes to the men's lacrosse team. After a bit of up and down season so far, the men's lacrosse team finally gained some traction, going on a 3-game win streak, closing out with a tough win versus Air Force. Our MVP of the Week award goes to none other than Hannah Bodner of the women's lacrosse team. In the win against Arizona State, Bodner scored a career-high 8 goals and 9 points. Rising Star of the Week goes to none other than the Skylar Forbes, the sophomore forward of the women's basketball team. During the WBIT, Forbes posted 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 steals against Drake in the first round of the WBIT. Against James Madison, Forbes put an astounding 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And coming up this week in athletics, we're looking forward to a lot of games. The men's lacrosse team starts out on Saturday hosting St. John's at Valley Field at 11 a.m. for their Big East opener. Shortly after the men's game, the women's lacrosse team hosts the Xavier Musketeers at Valley Fields at 2 p.m.
And the women's soccer team heads up north to start their spring games with back-to-back games against Northern Michigan at 2 p.m. and Green Bay at 4 p.m.
Coming up, is Shea a fraudulent MVP candidate?
Plus, is this the worst March Madness ever? Find out after the break.
Leah, did you put a new dent in that?
This one? No.
Were you texting and driving again?
Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about your bumper.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome back to Studio 7 as we discuss MLB opening day and the latest news in professional sports. I'm Layla Hudson, and joining me on the panel tonight is Gabriel Cicerica and Zach Palmaville. Let's talk sports. We are nearing the final stretch of the MVP race, and the two front runners are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. However, many have their grips about Shai and foul baiting. Is this becoming a legitimate issue for players, or is he a killer? And if this continues, could this ruin his MVP chances among voters? What do you think, Gabriel?
I don't really think it's much of an issue. I think if you're skilled enough to draw those fouls in the first place, then by all means. We saw that with James Harden when he was averaging 36 points a game, right? Everyone was so concerned about his fouls. They said the same thing about Joel Embiid when he won the MVP, saying that he shoots too many free throws. However, I do think that Nikola Jokic is the MVP and not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let me tell you why. Nikola Jokic is the most efficient player in NBA history. His plus minus, him and Shai are just on par. But without Nikola Jokic, the Denver Nuggets would be the worst team in the league, and it would not be even close. His advanced stats show that the Nuggets without Nikola Jokic, not only would they be the worst team in the NBA, they'd be the worst team in NBA history. I don't know what's more valuable, but I don't think that you can convince me that Shai is more valuable than Nikola Jokic on the Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. Honestly, I think Jokic is probably the better player. Definitely deserves the MVP. I mean, first player who got a 30, 20, 20 in a game. Like, it's kind of hard to see how he's had, like, his best year of his career, and he's won 3 MVPs. You know, like, I think the reason for Shai is just because people are getting tired of Jokic MVP every year. You know, I think Shai's foul baiting is kind of becoming a thing, just like you said. Like, they're just getting mad about it because it's like every single time, like, a great player who has a great drive and can make their free throws and just score a lot of points because of it. You know, that's becoming like a thing that people get mad about. Like, honestly, if Shai was shooting like Giannis, who, like, I watched his game the other night with Phoenix. He probably got 15 free throws. He made like 7 of them. If Shai was doing that and getting the calls that Giannis got that game and actually hitting him down, people would complain about Shai, but no one's complaining about Giannis for getting those free throws. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I honestly agree with you. Jokic is definitely the MVP. Would you say that there's like a second player that you would pick? Would it be Shea?
For me, it's Shea because they've won 60 games, and the Thunder are the best team in the NBA. And I understand that argument. We've seen other MVPs who pretty much win because of their team success, and there maybe might not be like the best player, where I think that's the case with Shea. I'm just saying, like, that Thunder team is fantastic without Shea. They have a ton of really talented players where I know the Nuggets have won a championship recently, but without Jokic, they're just not. They're not a high-quality team, and I don't think you can say the same about the Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Shea is definitely up there. I'm going to have to go with Giannis for the second one, though.
Oh.
Does it make a difference to you guys that Shea leads the league with free throw attempts at all? Like, does that change your mind at all about the foul baiting, or?
I kind of don't think so. I mean, you know, I read a report that a guy did the other day, and he basically went through every single free throw that he drew, and it was something like 1,500 or something like that. And you know, it's kind of ridiculous that he's getting that amount. But at the same time, you know, they went through like all of them, and only 9 times was there anything where he like, you know, basically got the ref to like think it wasn't him. And I feel like that's something that all players do, especially if you're great. You're going to be trying to get fouled, you know?
That is true. Circling back to, why do you think Giannis is like the second best?
I think it's got to be Giannis because he's the one carrying the team right now. I mean, Dame hasn't been very good this year, and I think the other thing is Shea is on a really stacked team. You know, they have a great coach, whereas Giannis has kind of got a questionable coach. So when it comes to like who's the MVP, I know I just kind of threw Giannis's name out there. He's shooting like 43% from the free throw line, so it's kind of, I feel like if he would be probably number 2 if he was shooting better than that, because his just points would be better. But at the same time, like his defensive play is unmatched really with anyone, and you know, he's not going to be the defensive player of the year because Jaren Jackson Jr. pretty much has that locked down at this point. But I feel like Giannis is still at the top of his game and a threat anywhere he is.
I definitely agree with your take on that. Moving on, with opening day around the corner, who is your sleeper team for the 2025 season? Who is your early prediction to secure the crown in October? What do you think?
Oh, this is a good question. I didn't know this was coming. I'm going to have to say, it's definitely between the Lakers. This is MLB. For MLB, I got to go with Orioles. I am from Maryland, so I'm going to take the Orioles just because they got a lot of young talent. Jackson Holliday, who was their number 1 prospect from last year. He kind of had a bad year last year, which was his first year, but, you know, we're not all Paul Skynes, so it's kind of like you got to let him grow. And, you know, their offense is just going to keep getting better with Gunnar Henderson, so.
Yeah, what do you think, Gabriel?
The Orioles are cool. Like, they're okay. But I definitely think that Atlanta Braves have a good shot of being like a real sleeper team this year. It's hard to say that they're actually a sleeper when they won over 100 games the season prior. But they had a bunch of injuries last season. And before that, they were one of the top teams in the MLB. Spencer Strider is coming back too, where he had a chance of winning an MVP as pitching with the Braves last year. So I think with him and Acuna coming back, the Braves have a good shot of making a good postseason run. But the Dodgers are by far the best team in baseball. So I think the Dodgers are probably going to win it all, but I think the Braves could give them a run for their money.
Moving on now, ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith erupted the college basketball world with his controversial take on this year's March Madness regarding the lack of Cinderella teams. Smith claims the lack of Cinderella teams going far in recent years is, quote, dangerous and will lead to the death of college basketball. Is Smith right? And is this one of the worst March Madness tournaments of all times? What's your take on it, Zach?
I really like this tournament, honestly. I think that we've had the best teams play each other, and it's been hard and it's been fast. And that's the thing is, the SEC has been the best offense. You know, has the most offensive-based teams. You know, and they are pushing that through. So this whole tournament's kind of been offensive-based. And I feel like that's the thing that college basketball really needed. Like, the reason why, you know, the NBA wasn't very successful in the early years is because the players didn't score like they do now. So now that college players are becoming that, like, those leading presence in scoring, and there's a 30...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Thanks for the great discussion, but we're sadly out of time. Tune in next week for all of our coverage of Marquette sports and more. I'm Layla Hudson, and Brian Wilson and Gabriel Siskaraka. Good night, Marquette.